Today, I'm going to be talking about, I'm going to put this in front of me. As you're aware, I'm going to be talking about connecting your personal brand with your business brand. So, what is personal brand? It's a phrase that you've probably heard thrown around a fair bit, especially over the last couple of years. It's something that actually sends a lot of marketers loopy. Recently, you probably see a lot of frustration from marketing folks saying, "Oh, personal brand, this, that, the other." What it actually is my interpretation is it's basically just being who you are and just amplifying that in the right through the right channels in front of your target audience for your business. That's it. Just be yourselves and just make sure you're putting yourselves out in the right places. Today's going to focus primarily around LinkedIn because we're the vast majority of we're all in a networking environment. It's a B2B platform. It's the kind of major platform for us to be on. So it's going to be focused very heavily around that. A definition from our friend Jeff over at Amazon. Your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room, and I think that's a great definition. If you can do whatever you want and say whatever you want when you're in front of people, but the reality is your vibe and your values and your beliefs will come across. And it was very easy to see if you're bullshitting, if you're lying to people, it'll come across very easily. And how they feel about you afterwards, that essentially is what your personal brand is all about. So yeah, that's Jeff. It'd be interesting to see what your thoughts are, not now, on Jeff Bezos, what his personal brand says about him. Have you ever heard the saying, people buy from people? Yes, I'm guessing the answer is yes. And that's what it's all about, so you have your business brand, we all work for either ourselves or for an organization. That's the business brand. Then we're all here networking, we're all talking to each other, we're connecting as human beings, we're talking about family and kids and football and whatever else, as well as business. And really that's where the connection comes in when you decide you're going to do business with someone, especially in the B2B SME environment. Actually not even just the SME environment, it's always about that human connection. When people all right, no problem. When people come to when people buy from Expand, the relationship is often with myself or Danny, and obviously we're representing Expand, but it comes from the relationship that we're creating and from what they would have seen about us. There's a statistic in marketing. On average in a day, you see between 3,000 and 25,000 marketing messages in a day. So if you just think about the space that you're in now, there's branding on the walls, there's Samsung here, there's Apple there, there's KitKat. It's everywhere. Subconsciously you're absorbing it. You have to have 7 touch points with a brand, and then you have to have a need or a want for it, and then you're going to take action. If you think about that in relation to yourself as an individual, not the business brand, you as an individual, the more your name is getting out there, the more you're connecting with the humans, the people that are going to make that buying decision. So people buy from people. That's a really important part, and that's what personal brand is all about. Nothing complex at all. So I'm going to talk through 3 ways to connect your personal brand to your business brand. Number 1, really straightforward. It's probably, really straightforward. Tag your company LinkedIn page in personal LinkedIn posts. If you're not on LinkedIn, you need to get on LinkedIn. Danny at previous 80/20 talks, she's talked a lot about LinkedIn. And we're always talking about be yourself, post about, tell your story, obviously post about your expertise. But while you're doing that, tie in tagging your company page. You need to have a company page. Or actually, I say you need to. You may not need to. Obviously, I know there's people here that may represent themselves as a brand. Chris, yourself, you are the brand. So this may not be as directly fitting in that respect. But if you have a company page, you want to make sure that you're tagging it in. Great example from Danny. Danny wasn't meant to be here just now. She's actually meant to be at an event. So Danny put a post out just the other day, telling a story and connecting it to the LinkedIn page. Now, what she was talking about was, you can see she's kind of tagged in Expand Marketing there. She was talking about her story from a few years ago during lockdown. She's actually talking about how brilliant I am. Not really. No, it's an appreciation post. And as a part of that, she's telling the story, she's telling her story, she's building her personal brand. She's not saying anything outside of what you know, if you all have a chat to her, you'll see and hear a read of this. It's very, very, very much in line with Danny and her personal brand. As a part of that, she's tagging it into Expand. You know, part of what we do is business development, and we're building our own personal brands, and we're building the company brand. And it's as simple as that, folks, with that one. Just make sure you're tagging your company page. And not all the time, don't sell. Don't be, you know, it isn't about that. It's about, you know, bring it into the story of what it is that you're doing, and don't overdo it. But if you're getting it in there from time to time, it's just another reason for people to remember, oh yeah, you know, you're connected with this company. So that was number one. Number two, make sure your LinkedIn profile is complete. Again, pretty straightforward really, but again, you'd be amazed at how many we actually come across profiles that have not got all the information in there complete. Now, you've got all kinds of, LinkedIn's the only social media platform that'll penalise you if all your information isn't on there, so you will lose a little bit of reach. But as a part of that, what you want to be doing is you want to be putting information on there about the company. So again, include elements of your company branding in your cover photo. Again, we have Danny. You're going to see a theme in this. Danny is, Danny's the key subject. Yeah, you won't let me here. They'll sit in the other room. Yeah.
I don't know if that's worse.
I was actually going to say really nice things about it, but I'm not. So you can see, so Danny's cover photo, it's a picture of the team, it's a little bit of some of our copy, information on results she's achieved and the brand. You know, so again, obviously it shows that she's really into the team, and there's the company branding in there. So that's another connection between Danny Johnson and Expand. Talk about your success in relation to your position in the business. So in Danny's featured items, Mitchell's is a client of ours that Danny's done some amazing work for. So she's put that in the featured items. She's actually posted one of the previous 80/20 events, 5 ways to increase your LinkedIn leads, and also another webinar that Danny and I did together. So again, it's Danny really pushing her expertise, but she's also connected into all the stuff, that great stuff that's happening at Expand. Because when somebody comes to your personal profile, yes, they want to know you as an individual, but it needs to be connected to the business brand. Even if you are an individual and you have a separate business brand, you want to always make sure you're pushing the business brand, because that's where the real value kind of comes in from I suppose from a monetary perspective. Another example, ensure your experience section is complete. So under experience, you want to make sure that you've got all the relevant stuff in there. You want to make sure you've got the skills in there. You want to make sure that any case studies can be so powerful, and the kind of stuff, if you're able to talk about it, talk about the results that you've achieved for people, and make sure you're filling it out. And again, you can see there's lots of Expand in there, but it's Danny talking about all the bits and pieces that she's done associated with the business. And again, it's really flexing her expertise, because in this case, it's often she's a person that you're going to be speaking to. So that takes me on to number 3, the biggie. So create a LinkedIn landing page. A LinkedIn landing page is an idea that I came up with during lockdown. It was all around the personal brand side of things. And obviously in lockdown, we would never be able to do what we're doing now. We were all locked away in our homes and just communicating digitally, mainly, via LinkedIn and social media and WhatsApp and whatever else. So the idea of the LinkedIn landing page came around, and we put it out and we tested it, and actually it really produced a really interesting result. But before I go into that, I'm going to give you a few numbers. I did a bit of research around this time. On LinkedIn, I put a poll out asking the question, how many times do you visit a business-to-business website before you make an inquiry? And as you can see, the results, 24% of the 62 people that voted, 24% said once, 48% said 2 to 3 times, 19% said 4 to 5 times, and 8% said 5 times.
Are they the slow learners?
Yes. I mean, it could also say something about the people's websites. But what does this mean? What does it mean? You need to convert 24% of people into inquirers on their first website visit. So, a quarter of the people coming the website needs to be really powerful. We're not here to talk about, you know, that side of things. We're obviously talking about personal brand, but that's something that we were able to pull from it. And then, of course, there's a risk of losing the other 76% of competition between website visits. Obviously, when you think about your own buying process, you don't immediately pick up the phone and say, yeah, I'd like you to be my accountant, please. You're going to kind of, you know, touch base in various places. So people are visiting the website. Now, with a LinkedIn landing page, what we actually find, the idea behind when somebody goes to your website, the idea is that they don't just go to one page and that's it. You want to, for want of a better phrase, monopolize a person's time. Think about the 3,000, all these marketing messages. You want them to be so intrigued that they're going to spend as much time as possible on your website, learning about what it is that you do, and really, you know, throwing themselves into it. So the idea is that they travel through various points on the website. What we achieved in the period that we measured testing the LinkedIn landing page, which I'll show you an example of shortly, is a 54% decrease in bounce rate. Now, a bounce rate, this is something that's going to become void in July because Google Analytics GA4 is coming out in July. So the phrase bounce rate is going to change, but this is relevant right now. A bounce is when someone goes to a website, does absolutely nothing, doesn't click on anything, and then goes back. So basically, they've gone there, they haven't liked what they've seen, and they've disappeared. We had a 54% decrease in bounce rate by putting the LinkedIn landing page in place. We had a 210% increase in pages viewed per session. So that went from 1.44 pages to 4.47 pages. So again, a lot more people were engaging with it. And then we had a 1,142% increase in average session time. That went from 26 seconds to 5 minutes and 23 seconds. Now, I will put a caveat in that. I believe in the time period that we measured it, which was 6 months, the five minutes is a long time to spend on a website like the Expand website. It's a brochure website. So there's probably, and it was kind of, we were still partially in lockdown at that point. So a lot of people probably had not a lot else to do. So even though it was, you know, it was a really good number, a real increase, I reckon it probably would have been lower, but still a positive increase. 5 minutes is a very long time to spend on something like that. But having said that, we also were recording webinars as we were recording this. We were recording webinars and we were putting them on the website, and they were all about 45 minutes long. So that was probably increasing the session time as well. So maybe I'm not doing it enough justice. Anyway, the bottom line is great results from a LinkedIn landing page. So how does it work? Right, so you may have heard of Danny Johnson. So you've connected with Danny, you're seeing her posts, and at some point or other you might think, right, I want to know more about the organisation she works for. If you haven't, say, you might have already clicked on the company LinkedIn page, but you may also think, right, I want to actually go to the website. What you would do is you would click on the contact info link, you'd get a pop-up like this, and you'd go to the expandmarketing.co.uk homepage. And what that will do is that'll take you to the homepage of our website, where Fran is just telling us all what to. Thanks, Fran.
Delivered some horrible news.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's what happens. And what you've got there, so all right, Danny is on the homepage, but what you've got there is, if you actually end up on, I'm going to go to our homepage. So if you go to the homepage of the Expand site, you're then scrolling through and you've got a disconnect. So you're really engaged with the content Danny's putting out, and then all of a sudden you're taken to, yes, it's a very people-centric website, but you're being taken to something that talks about, oh, it froze for a second. You're being taken to something that talks about what the company does as a whole, the organisation as a whole, which is great. But if you want to know more about Danny, at that point, you might end up going to, say, a services page, and then you might learn a little bit more about strategy, or you might go to the Our Work page and have a look at, some of the case studies. Oh, look who it is.
Yes.
Not Danny for a change.
Yeah.
You can share the limelight, it's all right.
Lots of parents photographs, see my secretary.
And if you want to learn more about Danny at that point, you have to click on the About page, you'll scroll down, and then, that's where you get to Danny, and, you can read and click on Read More. Now, if we go back into present mode, so that takes you to the homepage. There's a bit of a disconnect. So what I've just described is you're going from LinkedIn to the website homepage, and then you might be navigating, say, one of these, but if you want to see some more, learn more about the people, you're going through 1-2 clicks to get to that. A click in the digital world is like, every click is like climbing a flight of stairs. It needs to be as simple as possible. Every user journey needs to be as simple as possible. You've got this disjoint between going to the home page from LinkedIn in this circumstance. There's a disconnect. There's all this stuff in the middle. So a LinkedIn landing page is basically this. So it's a dedicated page. This isn't reinventing the wheel. It isn't rocket science. It's a dedicated page to Danny. And this page is basically, it opens, we're talking about Danny's values in relation to what she does, and a little bit more information around that. So you're learning about her on LinkedIn, and then you're seeing, right, this is the thing that she does, and the things that she specializes in, strategy and social media, amongst a few other things. You get to see jobs that she's worked on, projects that she's worked on, and results that she's delivered. So again, it's building credibility of the kind of stuff that she's capable of doing. Oops. And then you get a testimonial, which further builds her credibility on the company website. And then we've got, you know, content created by Danny, so, you know, webinars that she's done or anything that she's generally been blogging about. That's a link to the blogs. And then, well, at the bottom of the page, we've got a generic, you know, download a free marketing strategy template. So again, put your head in the space of this person that doesn't know Danny. You've seen a little bit about her. What you've done is you've created a bridge between Danny's personal brand on LinkedIn and the company brand, and you've got this page. Now, how did we decrease the bounce rate and increase the session time? Well, because, all right, you know a bit about Danny, she's talking about strategy and social media on LinkedIn. So it says, I specialize in strategy and social media. Okay, right, let me click through to that. Learn a little bit more about what the company does associated with strategy. And then you've got, you know, a Pitts Wilson, one of our clients, results we've achieved there. And then Mitchell's, so this particular client, we achieved 30 to 50 inquiries per week. Right, okay, I'm interested in having a look at that. And then you might want to learn a little bit more about it, and then you go to the dedicated case study page and read more about it, and you see more stats. And at that point, the call to action there is get a quote, and that's where we're funneling the user through to actually, right, fill in the form, submit the inquiry, one of us will give them a call, and they come onto the user journey, go into the sales process from there. So by doing that, what we've done is we've connected Danny's personal brand to the business brand, and we've actually encouraged them that little bit more to actually go through the process of making an inquiry.
Can I say, Jack, you've done all that for me on my website, and it really works.
Yes, you can.
I would also emphasise that the videos are very successful. You got Paul Maricone to do some 3-minute videos on the very service lines outfit.
Yep.
And people ring up, they think I'm their best friend.
Well, you're a lovely guy.
Yeah, because they've worked out that I'm the man that can solve their problems, they think.
Yeah.
Which is powerful.
And it's obviously because your brand is very much your personal brand. It's a very personalised thing, and that's what just adds so much strength. You know, it isn't John Smith Consultancy. That's a terrible example because you're not John, you're not Smith, but I think you get what I'm saying. But yeah, thank you for that, Chris.
And I recognise the template of the inquiry form.
Yeah.
I get web inquiries with exactly your format filled in by people who've got a problem.
And that's actually, this is a bit of a side kind of, but I think it's really worth pointing out. So the get a quote form, this is a conversational form. Hello, my name is insert name, and I'm inquiring on behalf of insert name. It's a conversational form. The traditional form is very tabular, it's just got the fields. And if I'm honest, this actually happened by accident about 7 or 8 years ago. We were in a rush to get the previous iteration of the website out, and our developer just quickly put this out, and we got there and we immediately started getting inquiries. When we rebuilt this site a few years ago, this quote page went to a tabular, like a standard form, and the inquiries started dropping out, And we thought, you know, what's going on here? Why is that happening? The website's still ranking. So we thought, all right, you know, in marketing, digital marketing, you can't jump on things too quick. You can't make a rash decision. You've got to look at the data. And we rode it for a good few months, and then we thought, okay, let's try and switch it back to this conversational style of form. And actually what happened was the inquiries started coming through again. There's something in this kind of more approachable format that actually makes it more I don't know what the word
Well,
is.
it works better, that's all that
Effective.
matters.
We're going to say fillable.
Effective.
Yeah, fillable isn't the word. Effective. Let's go with that. Yeah. Okay. So So that's the like I was saying. You know, that's the website homepage. The LinkedIn landing page. So basically, what I've done there is talked about the personal, your personal brand. You've gone to the LinkedIn landing page, which is still your personal brand on the company page. And then the example I showed you was, you know, you've got the strategy page. You've gone to case studies, and then from there you've gone to the, you know, the call to action. Now, think back to the little bit of research that I did. Obviously, there were 75% that were not just going to a website, 76% that were not just going to a website once. So this isn't naturally going to, I'm not saying to you this is the be all and end all to kind of, you know, getting that inquiry coming through and connecting the personal brand to the inquiry, because the reality is we're in business. That's really what we all want, but it's just one small thing that can really help move things forward. What I've described, whoever's, you know, doing your web work for you, there's nothing in there that's really hard to do. It's the kind of thing that can just nudge the user in that direction a little bit more, and it starts with your personal brand. If you want to know more about this, I've actually already done a talk on this around the time. I was really excited when we got the data. I was like, right, I have to talk about this. So we did a webinar for about 30-40 minutes. So if you go on our website, the title is How to Create a Connection Between Your LinkedIn Audience and Your Website. It's a webinar, it's recorded, it's on our website. So have a look if you want to know a bit more about it. This is just an overview. So thank you, folks.